Hey, welcome to Abundant Source. In this video, I want to kind of dive pretty deep into how our mind creates our reality. I want to talk about food, and I want to talk about reactions, and I want to talk about beliefs. I just finished meditating, and I had just a lot of clear information coming to me that felt like I really wanted to share it. And one of these ideas is that I want to talk about the idea that food is the cause of a lot of our problems, a lot of our discomforts, and a lot of our misalignments. And I want to share an idea that food isn't the cause of any of these things, and that in my experience and from what I've observed, it's almost kind of the opposite. And that our misalignments are sort of what manifests the food that we eat. Many people will say that when I eat this food, my body reacts this way, and then they have the belief that the food is causing that reaction. But this is not true. Food is not the cause of a reaction. Food can stimulate a reactive belief that's already within you, but whether you eat the food or not, that reaction is within you, and food that is not what we would say the best for our body just brings that reaction to the surface. It's not the cause of the reaction that's already there. It's just helping to reveal the reaction that's already within you to you. We all have very, very, very deeply rooted emotions and beliefs that have been programmed into us that root deeper than you can possibly imagine right now. And a lot of these fear-based beliefs and emotions are creating a lot of our reality. And so one thing that feels vital to this video and the information that I'm sharing and what will help piece a lot of this together for you is understanding that when I say our mind creates our reality, it's 100% true, and it's not what a lot of people think, because when people think my mind creates my reality, they typically just think my conscious thinking mind creates my reality. But this is pretty much only true when you are coming close and heading towards being a very highly ascended master, towards Christ consciousness, towards being a truly conscious creator, is when your conscious thoughts are going to start creating more of your reality. But for most of us on the planet, it's actually our subconscious and unconscious reactive fear-based patterns that are really manifesting a lot of our reality. It's all part of our mind. We've got our conscious mind, subconscious, and unconscious mind, and all these other different labels and terms as well, like the superconscious mind, and all that for the collective and all these things. But as individuals, I believe that we basically got our individual conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind. And the conscious mind, if you're not at a very high level of unified conscious creating awareness, is probably the weakest part of your mind that's creating your reality. And so when religions and different enlightened masters talk about having total belief and having faith that can move mountains and having no doubt within your mind, basically when we talk about the mind, we're talking about every single aspect of the mind. And although you can consciously believe that you can walk on water or that you can levitate, just because your conscious mind is believing that you have very deep subconscious beliefs and different ideas that are basically within you that you have not taken a look at, that don't agree that you can walk on water and levitate. And so people think, well, I'm telling myself that I can do these things and that this is possible, and I've been told that all I have to do is believe it. Well, I feel like I believe it, and it's not working. And it's because your entire mind does not believe it. In fact, one of the greatest indicators that you don't fully believe in what you're saying is that you have to try and tell yourself that it's possible. Because a master of creation would never have to tell themselves that they can do this. They would never have to say in their head, I believe I can do this, because they just know that they can. Why would you need to tell yourself that you can do this unless you have a belief that you can't do it? In the mind of a master, there's no question and there's no doubt whatsoever. They just know they can do it, so there's no reason to tell themselves that they believe that they can do it. That's an obvious indicator to me that you don't believe that you can do it at the deepest level of your being. So getting back to the food and how that affects your body, something that I realized a while ago from going through so much emotional work, very rapid healing, and just kind of tearing down and letting go of different beliefs, and just feeling my body shift in so many different ways, and feeling discomforts and misalignments just disappear, and then as well as new things just appearing out of nowhere that I had never felt before, and just being like, oh, what the heck? Like, I thought that I had gotten rid of this thing in this area, but now something new is popping up that was like lying dormant. And so that's something that you're probably going to notice as you go through your healing journey once you get to very deep levels, is that you are not even feeling right now the things that are going to come up for you during your healing journey. So one point that I just want to put out there is this. This is something that I noticed a while ago when I was contemplating this, is that I would think this food is causing this inflammation in this part of my body. This food is the cause of the inflammation. And I'm going to also give examples of like postures. This posture is not good for my legs. This posture is not good for my back, because every time I sit in this posture, I feel inflammation in the right side of my back, or I feel like calcification and stress in the left knee. I feel a lot of inflammation in my right shoulder. And I realized that if food was actually the cause of these things, that it would have to show up in the opposite side as well. So like for me, the biggest area that I feel discomfort when I eat things that aren't great for me is my right shoulder. And there was a point where when I would go on long road trips and sit in a car, then my right knee would always feel inflamed and stressed. And I would think, oh, this, like, sitting in the car for too long is causing this. Like, this is not good for my knee. But then I noticed that it wasn't happening in my other knee that was sitting in the exact same posture for the same amount of time. And then it just kind of hit me that this is not the cause of my pain. The pain and the fear that is attached to this physical part of my body is already there, and it's just showing up. Like, this posture is just revealing what's already there. This food is just revealing what's already there. And so if food and if sitting in wrong postures were the cause of our discomfort, then it would have to be a universal truth that the other side would have to be affected as well. But when I eat foods that aren't the best for me, my left shoulder feels fine and perfectly in alignment, and it's only my right shoulder that flares up. And when I would be in the car, it was only my right knee. My left knee felt perfectly fine. And I've had healing instances where I've gone through a lot of emotional or limiting beliefs and healed that. And when I would eat certain foods that would cause discomfort in that area, now when I eat the same foods, it no longer causes discomfort in that area because the root of it has come up and out. And if you have pain and discomfort in your body, then you have fear in your mind. Your mind is creating your body, your mind is creating all of your discomforts, your mind is creating what you're manifesting into your reality 100%. And so yes, we always want to be consciously aware of what we're thinking and what we're allowing to enter our mind, because that is influencing what we're manifesting. And I don't want you to think that your conscious mind just plays no part in your manifestation of your reality. But I've found that it's much more efficient to focus on the subconscious beliefs, the unconscious patterns, and most of all, your reactions to everything. Are you reacting to anything? If you are reacting to anything, then notice it, observe it, and once you've observed and acknowledged that it's there, then you've got something to work with, and you've got something to say, I'm going to learn how to not react to this anymore. And that's where the healing is really at, is when you learn to not react to the things that you are manifesting in your life in order to basically heal and eradicate these fears. Physical discomfort is fear within the mind somewhere. Physical discomfort isn't caused by food or anything else, because everything here is just an illusion that your mind creates. So people say that this thing in my physical reality is causing my misalignment, but actually the misalignment in your mind is what's manifesting the physical discomfort and the physical distortion that you feel in your life. Your physical surroundings and how your life is playing out is all just a manifestation of your mind and your beliefs, as well as the collective beliefs and all that also has influence on this collective creation and our environment and all that. Something else that I want to share is surrounding fear. And people tend to say that fear is the opposite of love, and this isn't true either. And fear is also love, because there's nothing in this universe that is not love. Fear is possibly the lowest frequency vibration that love emits and that we can feel in this physical realm, but it is still contained in love and still is love. It's just a very dense frequency. And fear is also not a cause of anything in your life. People are afraid of fear and think that it's just some outside force that is like coming to get them, and that fear, they just like, I'm not going to let fear into my life. If I feel fear, then I'm just going to think about happy thoughts, and I'm not going to let fear in. But fear is actually a very friendly, helping guide for us. And you can compare it to how the physical body will create mucus, and how somebody who's unaware of how the body works will say, oh, this mucus is causing all this suffering in me, and I keep coughing up all this mucus, and it's just like this mucus is attacking me, and it's harmful to my body. But people who are aware of how the body works understand that mucus is actually the body's defensive, protective mechanism, and that the mucus is actually protecting you from the root reason that the mucus is there, which is that you're putting acids and toxins into your body, and the mucus is there to buffer it and to help layer the rest of your body and protect it from those toxins that you just put into your body. And fear is a very similar thing. Fear doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's not some outside of force that is just here to make you miserable. You are creating your fear. We're all creating our fear 100%. You don't just try to get to a root problem and say, oh, there's the root. it was fear. Now we're all good. You know, it's like, where does the fear come from? There's always a deeper layer. It doesn't just stop at there's fear. It's why is there fear? What is causing this fear to manifest? And so fear is really very helpful because in the same sense that when you're coughing up mucus, it's basically your body saying, hey, wake up. There's toxins in you. Like, this is not natural. This is obviously something malfunctioning, something distorted happening here. So take a look at this and change your lifestyle. And fear is the same thing. It's saying, wake up. Look at these beliefs that you have. Look at everything you're reacting to. Look at how this is making you unhappy. And so fear is extremely beneficial because of all the programs that we have. Of course, in higher evolved beings, there's no such thing as fear. There's no reality where fear exists, but that's because they are more highly evolved and they've gotten past this evolutionary stage where we've been programmed from birth to fear just about everything. And so fear is useful. It's useful to get us to wake up and to look at what's causing the fear. And you have to sit with your fear, and you have to face your fear if you want to be in total alignment. You can't ignore your fear because that's just going to keep it at the sub and unconscious level where it's going to continue manifesting things that don't feel comfortable for you because you have all this fear within you and you're pretending like it's not there. So it never comes up to the surface. It never gets let go of. And so now we manifest situations into our life like eating cooked food and being in environments that we don't want to be in and feeling like we have lack of abundance because these are things that we've been taught, and this is the society that promotes these things, and that's what's creating the fear, and that's what's creating the habit patterns that don't seem to serve our highest growth or what we know is not like our highest potential. A big reason why a lot of us are still eating a lot of food that we know isn't good for us is because we still have these fears and these deep beliefs and these deep emotional triggers and reactions that we haven't looked at yet, that we haven't brought to the surface yet, that we haven't let go of yet. And so this food is actually benefiting us to show us where it's at in our physical body, because that can also help determine what's happening within the mind. When we feel it in the physical body, a lot of the time we can more easily identify what's going on in our mind as well if you're really in tune. But once you've gotten to the root issues of why the fear is there, and then you've completely eradicated fear and you've become a master with the level of Christ consciousness, then you just stop needing the experience of uncomfortable situations in order to wake you up, because now you're awake and now you can just say, this is not serving me. And although you consciously know it's not serving me, but you still give into it, you would just see it and say, there's no point to this anymore. And there would be no urge to have it because there's nothing that it would serve at that point. Whereas right now, if you're still eating foods that feel terrible and that make you angry with yourself, feel ashamed of yourself, feel unworthy, it's like these foods are not causing that. This is stuff that's already in you. These are deeply rooted emotions already in you, and the food is helping you to identify that it's there and that you need to look at it and that you need to face it. These foods are actually, in my opinion, blessing you and helping to speed up your process and healing, even though it feels terrible and it feels like crap. And honestly, it would be better if you have the willpower and determination to just not react to them, because that's the whole thing here, is you really just want to not react. And if you can just sit with it and feel it out and go, I'm just going to feel this out and not give in to food and not feel like crap, just to feel it out in a terrible feeling body afterwards, then that is wonderful, but most of us don't have that willpower. And so we give into the food, which almost gives us no choice but to feel the crappy emotions that are sort of holding us back. And so that's the benefit that we're getting. That's what we're manifesting into our life because of all of these subconscious and unconscious patterns in our mind. And this is not an excuse to just go out and eat whatever you want and say that, oh, this is all an illusion. Like, it doesn't matter. I can create my reality and I can just eat anything, because that to me is like an obvious reactive thing. It's an obvious misalignment with unity and with how natural law works. Just because we realize that we can create anything in our reality does not mean that as a physical beings we can still just like go outside of natural universal law. And one of those natural laws is that we are a specific species with a specific species diet, and going outside of that and eating unnatural things is just something that you wouldn't even consider, because you would want to just be in alignment with natural universal law. People try to say that it doesn't matter what they eat, and that they can just, transmute that energy into love and light and feel great, which is, I'm just going to say that these people are pretty much lying to themselves for the most part, because if that's how the level of consciousness that it takes to be able to transmute energy like that is a level of consciousness where once you get there, you wouldn't even care about eating these things anyways. So if you're saying I can transmute this and you're eating like cupcakes and meat and things like that, then that kind of shows me that you're not at a peak level of consciousness, because those are just sort of craving items, and that why would it matter to you to eat these things then if you were at a level where you could manipulate energy in that way. Once you reach that stage of consciousness, you're not going to care about food or taste or having a slice of chocolate cake. Your idea of what is pleasurable will be completely shifted. So anyways, I know this has probably been a pretty long video, and I really appreciate you for watching, and I appreciate you for enjoying this information and hopefully feeling it in your body, feeling it in your heart, and maybe applying a little bit and experimenting with some of this information in your life. I love you very much, and I'll talk with you in the next video.